Welcome to Adjuster Talk. Are you trying to get your first claims as an independent adjuster? Find out the easy steps to break into the industry with our Steps to Becoming an Adjuster guide. Download for free at adjustertalk.show.
All right, IAs, this podcast is powered by Royal Adjusting. If you're a new, aspiring, or veteran property adjuster, head over to royaladjustingservices.com and join the roster for work opportunities. Hey, IAs, welcome to the new Adjuster Talk podcast by IA Path. I'm your co-host, Chris Stanley, and I'm joined by the founder of this podcast, my co-host, Jason Heenan. Now, Jason, we got a great topic today. It's all about health. You and I have had our roller coasters on health, and so I think we're really excited to share some of the things we've been through, maybe some of the things we won't share, but we're going to give people some really good insight and tips. On a scale of 1 to 10 right now, based on where you're at in your career, your health, your emotional and mental stability, how do you feel on a personal level, 1 to 10?
Best ever, Chris. I don't think I could give myself a 10, but improving every day and living, from the things I've learned from every day. So I'm going to give myself an 8.
Oh, that's a good score. I'm going to go with an 8 as well, and we'll get to the other panelists here. And so that brings me to, we're joined by 2 phenomenal people, some of my favorite people in the world, other than Jason, of course. And the panel, though, is Tinecia Johnson. TJ is our desk specialist at IA Path. Really on the internet, period. Let's be real. I just like to claim her because she's so cool and came through iPad. But she is the one that if you're interested in desk adjusting, you really want to reach out to Tinecia Johnson, but be prepared for tough love because she's going to tell it like it is. And that's the way it is. And but she is the one that can help point you in the right direction. We're also joined by Max Olson, who is our media specialist, I guess you could say, at IA Path, all things video, audio, but he's also an auto damage specialist. He's been doing daily claims for, I want to say 3 years now, Max?
Yep, 3 years.
So for 3 years, and before that, he was a body shop estimator. So the dude knows what he's talking about. He's been on both sides of the fence, and he's here today to deliver value to you guys. Now, since we did a scale 1 to 10, real quick to start out the episode about health, Max, scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel right now?
I feel like an 8, but I know I'm probably more like a 7. We're working on it. We're working on getting there.
All right, awesome. TJ, what about you? Scale of 1 to 10.
I'm going to say 7. I'm thinking realistically, as adjusters, if we be all the way honest, especially if you're working and you got other projects going on, if you're just busy and trying to maximize your time the best that you can, we only got 24 hours in a day, and 8 of them we need sleep. So I would say a strong 7. It's still trying to find a balance in everything. And then, of course, while we're talking about health, Chris, you know my situation about my motorcycle. So I'd like to tie that into the health portion as well.
Perfect.
When we do
oh man, we got so much here, guys. I'm so excited about this episode, and I know it's not like the internet BuzzFeed of the winner of the world here, but health and adjusting to me is so important because we are the product ultimately. If you don't have yourself as an independent adjuster, typically you can't make money. That's the reality. And so your health is your product. So when you better yourself, you better your product. So today's episode is how to eat healthy when working as an independent adjuster. And I told the panelists and Jason before we started, we're going to tweak this a little. Yeah, it's how to eat healthy, but it's how to be healthy as well. Because I think eating is only one part of it, but being healthy is a whole huge gamut of things we can get into. But as our icebreaker question, other than the 1 to 10, I like that one, but I just wanted to kind of see how everybody was feeling overall. But to start off with, I'm going to go with Jason first because I know he's got to have an epic answer to this. At least I hope so. He's from Texas. It's got to be a big-sized answer. What is your favorite road trip food that you've ever had, whether it was on the road as an adjuster or not?
Oh, Chris, that's not fair. Isn't the topic today of how to eat healthy?
I don't care if it's healthy. I just want to know your favorite.
Okay, well, you must know that Buc-ee's has a pretty good presence in Texas, and I love to get their little Buc-ee bites or their beaver bites and a bottle of water, and then usually some sunflower seeds just to counteract all the sugar and delicious sweetness, then have the saltiness just for road food. I love that as a snack.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, those beaver bites or whatever they're called, yeah, they are addictive. Just don't open that bag unless you intend to finish it. people. All right, so Max, over to you. You do a lot of traveling, even around the world recently to a erupting volcano. What is your favorite road trip food?
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. You can even look at my notes. The first thing that I had written on there was Buc-ee's. I mean, it's just always a good go-to.
They're not paying for this episode, guys. What are we doing here? This is crazy.
I remember. I think I took you to your first Buc-ee's experience when we were doing that shoot. Back in 2019.
Yeah, you did. You cut my teeth,
sandwich,
so to
get
speak.
some beef jerky, but beaver nuggets. I mean, you just can't go wrong. But another one that I really enjoy, also in Texas, when I was down in Midland and Odessa for like a month, is asado, which is like this kind of slow cooked pork, really tender in red sauce. Every time that I'm in Southwest Texas, I'm going to go to a Mexican restaurant and get some asado.
Lovely. That was more what I expected as an answer, but Buc-ee's is winning the day here. All right, TJ, over to you. What's your favorite road trip food? Be real. Southern cooking. What is it?
Since we're talking about Buc-ee's, their yogurt dip pretzels in every possible flavor is absolutely amazing. Shameless plug. But for real road trip food, I have to have Cajun style or seafood when I go to Louisiana. Every single time, you gotta have seafood in Louisiana. Any kind.
That's awesome. My favorite is by far, lived in Colorado for 2 years. And even before I moved there, I fell in love with their green chili.
Oh.
So you put green chili on top of a big hamburger. Doesn't sound right, but you go to Crown Burger in Denver, my shameless plug. Check it out. Smothered in chili. There's something special.
Colorado green chili is different than what you'll get elsewhere, because I've been disappointed being from Colorado. Colorado's got their own blend of it, and it's amazing.
Yes, I love Colorado green chili. So now that we've completely debaucherized our bodies and we put everybody's mind in the wrong headspace when it comes to health, let's dive into this topic of how to eat and be healthy when working as an independent adjuster. So we're going to start off with the eating side. TJ, we'll come to you. How you're a desk adjuster. You can explain kind of the hours you work. I know it's different than being on the road. It's a totally different dynamic. So tell people, how do you eat healthy, or how can you eat healthy as a desk adjuster?
Well, for me, because my normal work hours, my day starts at 6 a.m. at a desk because I'm checking my emails to get my kind of my day situated. So I'm not really a breakfast eater, but I have to be intentional with that because I'm burned out by 10 o'clock if I don't eat breakfast. At least by 8:30, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I'm out of gas. And that obviously is going to negatively impact my performance. So for me, not being much of a breakfast eater, whether it's a meal replacement shake, yogurt with granola, of something that's simple that I can put my hands on, that I don't really have to do a whole lot of preparation for. Planning your meals is what's going to be the most important, and being intentional, depending on your lifestyle, outside of adjusting, depending on what your health condition is really going to determine. I like to share with everyone that I am type 2 diabetic. So I have to be intentional with my meals as far as eating on time, eating on a schedule, making sure that I am conscious of my carbs and the sugar that I take in. So that's extremely important. And you will find other people that are within the industry as an IA that may suffer from high blood pressure, diabetes, and the way to go down fast is not taking care of your body, not taking in enough water. Hydration is one of the biggest issues you see, whether you're at a desk or you're, especially in the field. At the desk, I mean, you can get so consumed with what you're doing, but in the field, you see a lot of adjusters that get sick because primarily they're not eating well and they're not properly hydrated. So I say staying hydrated, especially really no matter what part of the country you're in, but especially if you're outside, and kind of keeping track of your food and making yourself a priority, right? I know we want to do good work and we want to get to our appointments timely, but we can't do that if we are not putting ourselves first.
Love that. And shout out to Walter Payton, I believe, of the Bears. Is that who we're wearing today? Is that what's going on?
It is.
Okay.
Yes, exactly what's going on.
Okay. All right, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that, TJ. And we're going to do a second round about how to be healthy here in a minute, not just eat healthy. But for me, the biggest thing for eating healthy, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit, was hydration. I can tell the difference mentally if I don't start my day with a huge thing of water. If the first thing I do is I roll out of bed, I try to brush my teeth and fill up my thing of water, exactly, making me thirsty, TJ, is just chug a huge bottle of water. And when I say bottle, it's like 32 ounces, it's like a big container. And so for me, that proved huge, but also I had really high blood pressure earlier this year. And if most people looked at what I ate, you'd go, Chris, I think you eat pretty healthy. I don't see any glaring issues. You're not eating McDonald's and Taco Bell, and you're eating a lot of salads and all these things. And so we really had to look at like what are we doing? What is causing this? My body, maybe not everybody's body, but my body is reacting to something negatively. And yeah, sure, there's stress, but those who know me know that's like part of like the A type is like you build yourself up to go get something done. And so you kind of live in this heightened sense of stress. So we started working on that. Which we'll get to and how to be healthy here in a minute. But I also looked at like, okay, the main thing I'm consuming in the morning is eggs. Let's try cutting that out. Let's try cutting out all the dairy, cheese, whatever. I ended up going full vegan, okay? Because within 2 weeks, all my numbers are great, been great. I feel a billion times better. And I'm not a vegan because I'm not like a conscious objector, and I eat meat still when I go out, but at home, and that was kind of been our thing the whole time, is at home, we eat a certain way. If we go out and it's a special occasion, that's different. We don't bring ice cream home, try not to anyways. We don't bring crap in our house, but then we just extended it to, we don't even bring meat or dairy into our house because dad's numbers shot through the roof for some reason, and that took it away. So since the metrics kind of told me that like something in that was throwing you off, Chris, we took that away. So for me, that's kind of been the big thing for me to eat healthy. But as an adjuster on the road, the biggest hack my wife and I found, you're driving by a grocery store, pull in, grab a pre-made salad. Your breakfast is done as fast as you can drive through McDonald's. And if you're on a deployment and eggs aren't counteracting you like they were me, you could get like one of those egg cookers for your hotel room, to where even if your hotel breakfast is garbage, you don't have to eat garbage. You can have your own eggs and like a salad in the room. So for us, that was the big thing we found. Just pull into a grocery store when we're doing field claims, grab it in 2 minutes, get out, especially now with self-checkout, and you've got a salad. So the excuse of there's nothing healthy to eat is kind of taken away by that, but it's still hard. Let's be real as field adjusters, which I can't wait to get to. So Max, you're up. How do you eat healthy as a daily auto IA driving around?
Oh man, I'm just not the best person to ask for this, man. I'm in my early 20s, just always on the go, always just wanting to be fast. So for years and years, I was, just, fast food, just grab something quick, never pre-packing anything. If I'm on a deployment, I'm usually with some friends, so go out to eat every night. And recently, I've noticed, now that I'm getting into my mid-20s, I've started developing a little bit of a belly. And so I said, okay, I need to take this a little more seriously. So I've been doing a lot of pre-packaging, just like some basic chicken and rice type stuff with maybe some teriyaki sauce. And then another big thing that I did was cut out soda, because I grew up with family that said, yeah, you can have soda if you want. And then I found myself drinking soda all the time. And that's just not something I wanted to be doing, pumping into my body every day. So now it's either water or something like green tea, something along those lines. And I've noticed a huge difference in just my day-to-day life. Also been going to the gym every other day. That really, really has also helped as well.
Yeah, I remember when we first got started doing daily claims, my wife and I, Dunkin' Donuts. Oh my goodness. At all the gas stations, it was becoming all the craze. So bad. It was so bad.
Yeah. When I think about what I
evil.
put into my body from, my late teens into my early 20s, because, I just eat whatever, continuously eat, and I just would, stay completely skinny. And then I think it was about when COVID hit and I started sitting around a lot more. And then I was like, oh, can't do that forever.
Yeah, and for those who haven't seen Max like in a full comparison shot with somebody else, he's a giant. He's super tall,
He's
he's skinny, but you're like, what is going on, Green Bean? Like he is huge. So but yeah, he has more energy than anybody I've ever met, and that's saying something because that was usually me. So puts me to shame. It's on the energy
That's
scale.
good.
So if he felt a take down from soda and a tick up, I can't even imagine
Oh, yeah.
what kind of energy he has now. All right, Jason, over to you. How do you eat healthy as a property adjuster? And kind of two parts, I think, for you. One, how did you eat healthy, or how could you eat healthy as a field property adjuster? And then now, as someone who runs an IA firm, how do you eat healthy differently?
Well, first of all, great answers so far from TJ and Max. Just kind of, it sounds like they've both learned a lot along the way during their journeys. Especially TJ, I can't imagine how difficult it is to balance your diet with all your other things. That takes a lot of planning. And that's where I'd like to start my answer, is that you can't just wing it. That is the worst thing to do, especially when you're in the field. And I can remember, for instance, getting as heavy as and like unhealthy as I've ever been. When I was in my 20s, was in Long Island, New York. You know, you sit down at these places to eat at night after you're tired, and then you have a few beers or whatever. And man, that stuff just adds up so quick. And that's whenever you just start developing boundaries. And one of the rules that we have still to this day is we don't eat food that comes through our window of our car. That's just very simple. Usually that food is made to taste very delicious, and it's delicious for a reason. It's loaded with fat and sugar. And so if you can avoid just a few things, if you don't want to think health consciously, you can avoid the worst kind of saturated fats right there by not getting it through the window. And then I think Max mentioned sodas. So if you like sweets, eat your sweets. Don't drink your sweets. If you drink your sweets, your body and your brain don't recognize that. It does not know just that there are so many different types of drinks. It just thinks there's water available, and that's it. So whenever you go and pour a quart of sweet tea down your throat, that is going to have a huge impact on what's going on inside of you. And it also has a major impact on the thoughts you think, and let's just say the quality of your thoughts. And even if it adds 2% to your tiredness, like we're all already tired. Why would you do something that would exasperate that? You know, why throw another straw on the camel's back and see if we're going to break it or not? So here's some tips. One thing that I think is super important is don't be scared to go in the grocery store. And I like to get up early and be with the old people in the grocery store when they're freshly stocking the produce, and just find foods you enjoy, like fruit. I mean, my gosh, I love to wake up first thing in the morning, like you're talking about, start out the day. And this is where, like, if you listen to any motivational speaker who has made it and done their things, they all say the same thing. They wake up and they start their metabolism off with a nice full drink of water, and they just get everything started. And so that way too, that's the first thing you've introduced into your body. So the next thing doesn't have to be packed with flavor because you started out with the Grande 8 pump from Starbucks or something. You started out with a good crisp bottle of water and just kind of set the palate right there for the day. So you can't have a good day of eating if you don't start it good. And then, like I said, I like to go in and have some fresh fruit. That my body just loves that fresh fruit, and it's like the opposite of eating candy or drinking Cokes. Your body loves and knows what to do with those things. It breaks it down and gets it out there. So there's a few things, and then if it like makes you miserable to eat healthy food, just find things that you like and eat less of it. I'm a sandwich eater, and sandwiches aren't great. Like Chris said, there's dairy in there. There's for cheese, the mayonnaise is not super healthy to eat. And then of course the bread you could live without, but it is way better in my opinion to make yourself the type of sandwich you like, and fill your stomach with that than say whatever the local favorite is at Wendy's or McDonald's or whatever your favorite burger joint is. So just be mindful of everything you put in your body. And eventually, if you just, instead of judging the meal based on the satisfaction you feel afterwards, you just judge it on how your body feels afterwards. And you'll find yourself finding happiness through knowing that you've treated your body to something it wanted and not something that your tongue wanted. You have to remember that your tongue is deceiving to the rest of your body. Like, we're all programmed when we're kids. Everyone gives you sugar to help you eat, survive through childhood. But then it's time to grow up, and it's time to, you don't need all that to make yourself eat good, learn to reward yourself.
The big switch I had, Jason, what you're talking about is just even this year was, and I've heard it before, but it just didn't internalize, which is food isn't for fun, food is for fuel. And as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as an IA, we need all the fuel we can get. And if we don't put in good fuel, our output's going to be crap. And it's just going to get worse and worse over time. The older you get, the more compounding effect that has. But your body has this amazing ability to bounce back if you start treating it right. And so I think it's huge to know that, like, where you're at today doesn't have to be where you're at tomorrow. And you're not going to be where Jason's at today, tomorrow. You're not going to be eating vegan like me tomorrow, probably. But if you just make one small change, like Max did, cutting out soda, that's how my wife and I started 15, 14 years ago, something like that. That was our first health conscious decision. And then we just made a new one almost every year. And now here we are doing some things people would call crazy, but we like the way we feel, like Jason's saying. That's awesome. Anything else, Jason, you want to add before we go on to how to be healthy?
Make that small change. It doesn't have to be all at once, just that one little thing. And then start figuring out how you feel. Think about it. And then you'll see yourself make another little change before long.
All right, TJ, coming over to you. We're going to try to do this a little quicker than the eating, but how do you be healthy? How do you stay healthy, not with your foods, but with your body as a desk adjuster? What can people do? What are some tips that you found that help you?
Managing my time. That's the biggest for me. The 24 hours in a day, 10 to 12 of those I work. So I have to somehow fit life within the remaining balance of my day. Be realistic about what your tasks are in the day. Understand that your body has to rest. Back to the point of the fuel, along with eating correctly, you have to sleep. You have to sleep. And that's really just as important as eating correctly, is getting the right amount of sleep. Because if you get to the point to where you're not sleeping, it's going to affect your performance. And that's one of the ways that I know that I'm not getting the rest that I should be, is when it starts affecting my performance and my production and the amount of tasks that and the efficiency, or if I find myself rushing through something because I have something else, either I overdid it and put too many tasks that required more time than I actually had, or I'm just not being efficient with the tasks that I already have, which means I'm not resting appropriately. So I think that's really the biggest, aside from eating, is being able to rest and be able to relax. Like I talked about in one of our previous episodes, on Sundays, that's my family day. No electronics, no phone, nothing outside of my family, because being able to spend time with them, that's part of my balance. That's part of my rest and relaxation. So R&R is the next way to be healthy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's huge, because we go from being teenagers where we sleep too much to being hardworking adults at some point. We switch this gear to where we think the less we sleep, the more productive we are, which I'm here to tell you, I've done it. I'm a self-proclaimed workaholic at times in my life. Less sleep does not mean you're being more productive. It usually means you're getting less done in more time. Okay, so your production is going down over time rather than up. And so those last 3-4 hours you push into 2 a.m, Max, to write those claims the other day, that's not really as productive as if you just woke up and gave it an hour the next morning. It's a totally different way to look at life. If you say, no, I hard cut off, I have to sleep. So piggybacking what TJ says, for me, how to be healthy, that's a huge part of it is the sleep. And in addition to the water and the sleep, it's the setting the boundaries, as TJ called it, of, I know as an auto IA, right? That's where I lived. I know I'm going to have supplements and admin tasks. And if I don't put that on my calendar and know that I'm going to have those things, I'm suddenly going to be too busy. And what's going to lose out? It's going to be your walk. It's going to be the time with your wife. It's going to be eating healthy. Those things get pushed out. The important for the urgent get pushed out because you, as TJ said, you had bad time management. So that's exactly where I was going, TJ, is it all starts with a bad decision that started. None of us wake up in the morning and say, I want to treat my body like garbage. None of us do that. We all like our bodies, but we give way to the urgent and the expectations of others and our unrealistic expectations we set on ourselves on our schedule the previous day. And so I think TJ spot on, stole my thunder, stole my answer, but I got to piggyback on it. So TJ, appreciate that. Max, how can you be healthy as a field IA?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on the managing your time, making sure you manage time to do those things that you love to do. For me, obviously, that's going out and chasing storms through the Great Plains. And that is something that is super important for my mental health. So I always make sure to make time for that and let other people know, let my IA firms know that that is something that is to be expected of, so it doesn't come as a surprise. And at this point, they all know when there's a big storm, you know, as much as I'd love to be ready to go pound the pavement, go do CAT claims, I'm mostly a daily guy nowadays. So that means when there's a big storm chase, I'm going out and chasing storms for me. I'm going out and taking photos and taking videos and enjoying myself. Obviously, there's times where I need to put that aside for work and, you know, meet my obligations. But I think it's really important to make sure that the things you're passionate about, the things that you love doing, they have a time and place as well.
Love it. Love it. Jason, what about you? How can field property IAs or desk managers, in your case now, how can they be healthy?
You got to set the habits, Chris. You have to set good, strong habits. If there's something in your life that's bringing you down, you have to figure out what it is in your daily routine that's causing that. So I just think being mindful of how you spend your time. I know that's redundant, but it is really and truly the only way to get the most out of your life is to manage and be in the moment and make sure that you're getting rid of those bad habits that you have or working your way through.
Yep. Love it. All right. Now, one of the things that I want to leave everyone with, one quick tip, just like rapid fire, 5 seconds each. I'll start so you guys have a context what I'm talking about. One quick tip for health, aside from what I've already said, I stand up. I'm standing up right now. I do a stand-up desk all the time. You will not see me sitting down if I'm working. I am standing up because I found myself sitting 6 to 8 to 10 hours a day, do video editing or whatever. Max, you know what that's like. And it's just so bad for me that I chose to stand up. And that was a huge thing. So TJ, one quick tip as we sign off.
Adopt the 90-20 rule. So for every 90 minutes that you're sitting at a desk working, take a break for 20 minutes and it'll help balance out you mentally and also give you that extra push that you need to get through the day.
Good one, Max.
Yeah, very similar for me, spending a lot of time sitting and editing, being in the car. I've started going to the gym recently. So, I'll go for about an hour in the morning, and stretching beforehand is really important because I'm just, you're sitting in the same spot and you're going to start getting locked up, and then you realize you're not as limber as you used to be. So stretching, and if you really want to go to the next step, and maybe start going to the gym a little bit.
Jason, final thought. Quick tip.
You know what? I was miserable and depressed a few years ago from just sitting behind the desk and working. And I don't mind telling you that I've seen regularly see a therapist, make sure that my thoughts are on track, and, very human, and knowing that I have my faults. And the therapist gave very simple instructions. You guys have all alluded to it. I have now a roller desk. And so if I get depressed because I was just chained to my old desk too long, I just get up and I'll roll it to a new part of the house. Maybe it's around my kids. Maybe it's not around my kids maybe that's causing the problem. So that was the easiest thing. And it just flipped the switch as far as I'm concerned. It just made the scenery brand new.
That is so cool. Now, everybody who's watching or listening to this, take one of these things. Don't take them all. You can't. You'll crash and burn next week if you try to tackle all these. Take one, and maybe it's wow, I don't drink water. Get a huge thing of water, set next to your bed before you go to sleep. You wake up, guzzle it in the morning, whatever it is. Take TJ's example of the 90-20, implement that. Be very intentional, but take one how to be healthy and one how to eat healthy tip and implement it in your life. And I bet in a week or two, you're going to be emailing Jason, contacting us on social media going, holy crap, things are changing. I'm telling you, it's one small thing at a time. Like Jason said, it's the habits. Day in and day out, set one or two of these in motion. You'll be glad you did. And until next week, keep walking your path and claiming your life and get it on because it is claim time.